PCHers, private detectives, spring breakers, and all you murder heads out there to Veronica Mars, or Life on Mars, the Veronica Mars Rewatch podcast where we go through episode by episode. I'm Brenton.
And I'm Emily.
And we're here to talk about season 4, episode 2, Chino and the Man.
I just choked on some very stiff water.
Damn. That's stuff they serving down in Chino.
Yeah. Highlight of this episode is Big Dick's tattoo, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. That it's covered up. Literally someone writing BI on his arm.
Mm-hmm.
But yes. That and... oh no. I lost it. We'll come to it apparently. Apparently, eventually. That's how this works. We go through the episode.
Is that how we do this?
that's what if you listen back to the other ones, that is what we do.
Oh, okay.
Some exciting things, some also things that are big red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite as exciting as the first episode, but we've got some good stuff moving. I am always happy when JJ Simmons is around.
Are you? You always happy when JJ Simmons is around?
He's not always good for the characters, but like, damn, is he a good actor?
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Before
Before we jump in, I did want to mention up top, I forgot to mention last time, the cover of the Dandy Warhol song, We Used to Be Friends, is done by Chrissy Hind of The Pretenders.
Thank you. We need your musical expertise always in this moment.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
I like it much better than whatever the hell the remix was in season 3.
But it was moody.
It was moody, but this is a different moody.
Yeah, everything. I guess true. A very different mood.
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready to jump into the pool with my clothes on.
Everybody pull on your safety belts.
Oh.
Wait, jump into pools with your clothes on.
I don't know. That's just what I thought of.
Okay.
So, strapped in, ready. Brenton asked you to pull on your safety belt because we start the episode with a little everyone's going to be confused. It's a little, we're going to play a trick on the audience, but we're really not. We start the episode with Dick. He is at
I see it.
a homeless encampment.
Real quick, do you want to know where my brain was going? I'm like, is she talking about the previously on?
Oh, no. No, he's at a homeless camp. He's around a bunch of homeless people. He's allegedly addicted to heroin, and he fights a man and asks for drugs and slits his throat, or someone slits his throat, and then they're like, you shouldn't have done that. He's a cop. And basically we find out that Dick is a really bad actor.
Yeah.
Who's in a movie.
Mm-hmm. With Timothy Oliphant.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Who played Magnus, the guy he's trying to get drugs from.
Mr. Oliphant.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, they're playing to his strengths here. They're like, just act like yourself in a scene.
I don't know, though, because I feel like the character he's playing probably had to think a little harder than Dick does.
He does mention later that it was really hard in that scene because he had to keep think of two things at once.
Mm-hmm. So we find out that Veronica and Logan are at a premiere of Dick's movie. And Veronica, we get a voiceover of her telling us she feels bad about telling Logan to not marry, that she doesn't want to marry him. And she's kind of weirded out that Logan didn't react.
Mm-hmm. She's more concerned that he's not reacting than of saying no to her longtime emotionally turbulent boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. She wanted him to fight her for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're trying to tell us.
Yes.
Which is odd.
It is.
But the world is weird.
In summation.
Finn, end scene, episode over. World is weird. No, but so then they're hanging out afterwards, shooting the shit. We're talking. We see Dick Sr. Dick Sr. comes up with his new friend, his right-hand man. Oh my God. Clyde. I wanted to call him Craig, and I knew it was wrong.
Good old Craig.
So Clyde is basically, he refers to himself as a glorified property manager for Dick because Logan's like, what does that job entail?
Mm-hmm. Also interested as well.
Yes. And then we have Dick. He's flirting with a nice young girl who,
Very obviously young girl.
Yes. A very obviously way too young for everyone on this show. It would be inappropriate regardless of who's flirting with her.
Mm-hmm.
And Dick goes to go get a drink or something, and Dick Sr. goes to go do something. And so then it's just Veronica, Clyde, Logan, and the girl. So Clyde basically tells the girl to go home because she's underage. And then Dick comes back and he's like, what happened to the girl? And Veronica's like, your friend here, Clyde, just saved you from statutory rape charges.
Yep. I feel like that's really Clyde's main job.
Mm-hmm.
Keep shit out of trouble.
Mm-hmm. So we get basically, a kind of understanding that like Clyde is there to protect Big Dick.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's smaller than Big Dick. Because,
right.
You
don't fuck with him.
You don't fuck with Clyde.
He gives off a vibe. And J.J. Simmons just in general gives off a vibe. You don't fuck with him. Even in the movies when he's a big old softy.
I was going to say, I feel like I always see him as he looks like he's supposed to be tough on the outside, but he's like a fucking marshmallow.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
But
Veronica
there you
Mars.
go. That's for all you fans out there.
Well, how come they say she's hard-boiled instead of toasted then?
They're mixing metaphors. They're just throwing things.
She wants some more cases.
Season 5. Emily's open. You got a writing gig open?
Yeah, exactly.
You got a writing position?
Do you need some puns?
Emily, we need you to get past all the marshmallow puns.
I only write marshmallow puns. If it's not Jiff Puff, I don't want it. No, Jiffy Puff makes my tummy hurt. But so yeah, we get a basic understanding of this new relationship, and we know we're going to see more of Clyde. So then we cut over to Alonzo and Mendoza, are employees of El Espadito.
Despiadado.
Thank you. I was like, I'm gonna totally butcher that.
Yeah, it's really hard to remember.
We find out that they're not really blending in at spring break.
Uh-huh.
Imagine that, 2 middle-aged men not been blending in at spring break.
Right, but
and they're like,
that's
oh,
not
no.
what they're like calling attention to. Yeah,
they're like, it must be how we're dressed and our skin color.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, which I mean, yes,
yeah, also true.
There's a lot of white kids there, and you are dressed funny, but like also the middle-aged thing is really gonna.
Right,
I feel like that's what I watch for.
Yeah, totally. Even if if they were white, it'd be like, why is this like?
Are you a narc?
Yeah, why is this exactly these plainclothes police officers on the beach?
Yeah. So a kid walks up to Alonzo, basically asking for blow, and Alonzo fucks with him and tells him to meet him like at some gas station, just like royally messes with him.
Mm-hmm.
Another kid kicks or they hit a volleyball towards him, and he's like rude to Mendoza, so Mendoza pulls out his knife and he stabs the ball, and then he knocks down the kid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, me too.
The big bro's gonna tries to come after him.
Yeah. So then they decide they need to go to the store to go buy clothes to fit in.
Yep. Alonzo's like, you really think they shop at Walmart?
Oh, yeah, because he's like, yeah, we passed a Walmart on the way in. And he's like, do you really think they shop at Walmart? So we know they're going to go get some outfits. Yep. We did not get a shopping montage from this.
That would have been lovely.
I think that would have been really funny. Definitely like a Target ad. You know what I mean? Like it would have been like a...
Totally.
Like they're in the dressing room, then they're throwing clothes to each other. That would have been cute.
That would have been really fun. Let's give us the Alonzo, Dodie, buddy comedy that we've been waiting for.
Exactly.
Getting a lot of mileage out of the white people thinking that Latino people don't speak English.
Yeah, and they have drugs on them?
Yes. There's a big old carryover from, hey, not a lot of things. Some things don't change.
You know where I would assume the cocaine is? On the white boy.
Yeah. Exactly. The white boys would be asking other white boys.
Yeah. But whatever. We don't know. We're not there. We're not on spring break. We're old. We're retired. We stay home now. And we're in a pandemic. Stay home. Wash your hands. Stay away from people. All these
kids being so reckless.
Exactly. So then we cut over, and the boys, meaning Dick Sr., his buddy Clyde, his son, Dick Jr., and Logan have gone golfing. At one point, Logan's like, hey, Dick Sr., if you want to get that big dick tattoo removed on your arm, I'm happy to connect you with the guy who took off mine, or like I know someone who can take them off. I just assume Logan removed some tattoos.
Yes.
And
I am assuming Logan got a lot of tattoos while on tour or something.
Or I was thinking while he was dating the woman from the
Oh, right.
from the movie.
Carrie Bishop.
Thank you. So Big Dick's like, no, this is my tough guy tattoo. I got it in jail from Six Finger Lucky or what, whatever. It's like a weird name.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then we have a flashback, but it's from Clyde's perspective, and we see these guys pinning down Big Dick and tattooing on his arm, and Clyde makes them leave him alone.
Yeah.
Clyde saves him.
Exactly. And they only put a B and an I on his arm.
And they're not nice fonts.
No, it just looks like, like a first grader like writing, or what you would probably write when you were like just writing with a pen on a friend's arm.
And when I give someone a tattoo, I'm like, let's do it just like anyone wrote on your arm.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when people sign someone's cast.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting that Clyde's in like a maximum security lockup and not Clyde. That Big Dick was in like a maximum security lockup.
Yeah, do you think it's because he fled the country?
I mean, even then,
because he turned himself in. It's kind of odd,
right? But it for like securities fraud, I feel like they put you up in like cushy minimum security prison stuff.
Yeah, and they think to set this up in the first episode, they do a thing where he's like, "Oh, I thought you I didn't know that it, I couldn't just like pick a prison, or like that they'd pick for you, that you had to like pre-pick or whatever."
Right. Yeah.
Something that's odd.
We're trying to. Yeah, we need a reason that Clyde and Big Dick would be in the same prison, so we're gonna massage the truth a little bit.
Yeah, in Chino.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Met a couple guys that were in Chino when I was golfing on a public golf course.
Really?
Yep. The two guys we were partnered up with for our foursome talked about their time in Chino.
Was it Big Dick and Clyde?
It was not. I mean, they're nice enough guys.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes people...
More Clyde in demeanor than Big Dick.
Yeah. Well, I also think sometimes people, we don't always know why people did what they did or what they did or even
I didn't ask questions about that.
You don't. I don't tend to question people's motives often because it's dangerous as a woman and there really is no point.
Yep.
But theoretically, I question a lot of people's motives. Then we cut over to Keith and Veronica. They're interviewing the nerdy boys that were friends with what was the kid's
name?
Gabriel, who is the reason why we have our dynamic duo here searching around for who blew up the bomb. Meaning Alonzo and Mendoza.
Yeah.
Veronica's like, they're interviewing them and one of the kids is still playing his video game, so she takes his controller and throws it, and that's how you know she's a mom, because like you see that look and you know that's exactly like anyone who has a mother who was like, pay attention to me right now. Like maybe they didn't physically take the controller and throw it, but the look.
Yeah, I've been on the other side of that a decent number of times.
That look, that's a look. Uh-huh. That's the look of, oh, you don't get to play with your Elsa doll tonight.
Yeah, pretty much. In my experience, it's frantically yelling, I'm saving. I just need to do this one thing.
Yeah, no, we always had like 20-minute warnings. You know what I mean? Like,
I did too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just on a roll and you just got to keep going.
And that's when you get your mom involved and she's like, okay, you're right. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Or I used to watch Disney Channel movies at Granny's house and we'd drive home during the commercial so I wouldn't miss anything. Like we'd wait until the commercial and then we'd run to the car.
That's a great plan. How am I going to know what happens?
Even though I've seen Xenon 14 times.
Well, you need to know it could change.
Yeah, I love Xenon. It was always Xenon, I feel like, too. Or the Cheetah Girls. It
was on a lot.
Anyway, so we find out one of the boys thinks Veronica's cute. He's like hitting on her. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Doing the stupid
sleazy nerdy boy thing.
Right, exactly. Like, haha, like
nerds wish they were suave, so they're gonna then you got the one that pretends to be suave. And I'm like
100%. No. If they could have, they would have given him a fedora.
Yeah.
It just wasn't in the prop closet.
Uh-huh. It was out of style at that time,
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of which, this will come back around later. Just because of us doing this podcast and looking back on this show, those earlier seasons, like a decade ago, more than a decade ago. And I keep going like, was this during the time of like blank? Like what was happening? And I'm like, this is 2 years ago. Like whatever pretty much is happening now, contemporary.
Exactly.
So I keep like having to keep doing like, oh, maybe I should look it up. And I look up, I'm like, oh my God, it's like 4 years after.
Yeah. And the clothing is a lot better because now we're a little more modernized and a little simplified.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get, I mean, I guess you could say it's worse because season 1 and 2's clothing.
Are you sure you're going to say that's worse?
I was going to say.
I beg to differ.
And, it's all going to come back in style soon if it's not already.
That's right. Hey, she rocks the middle part.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't even need no bullying from Gen Z on TikTok.
Yeah, I do think it's funny because, a lot of adult women have rocked the middle part since they were made fun of for it in school.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but everything's cyclical, and you got to do what looks good on you, and fuck everyone else.
That's right.
So they also, after they're done interviewing the boys, Veronica and Keith go to interview at Comrade Quack's.
Real quick, there's a few things before then. They bring up McGursky, and so the Keith and Veronica jot that down as someone. So McGursky was the one person that didn't get along with Gabriel, and that had something happened. Like he blamed Gabriel for some robotics competition mishap. So then Keith and Veronica leave.
Yeah, that's it. They were leaving to go to Comrade Quack's, and then we get Alonzo. And I just keep thinking there's a woman on TikTok who I follow who she named the raccoon outside of her house Alonzo.
Is this
Sierra?
Yeah.
Yep, Alonzo. And she goes, Alonzo. And so every time I see it, that's all my brain does. So she treats him like her son. She feeds him. He eats cat food.
It just seems like a bad idea, but
Yeah, who am I to tell someone how to take care of their local possums?
Uh-huh.
Possum. I said possum the first time, right? Or did I say raccoon? It's a possum.
Let's let's let the record show you said possum.
He's a possum. Then Gabriel we find out that we also find out Gabriel went downstairs with his backpack. Mm-hmm. He took his backpack when he went down there, which is odd to Veronica. Mm-hmm. The delusional nerd boy thinks that Veronica will come back to hit on him. They get a knock at the door, and nope, it's actually our dynamic duo who want to know who killed Gabriel, and they don't go about their interview in the same way as the Keith and Veronica dynamic duo. Our like drug lord dynamic duo. I don't know what to call it, but like when you come from
they're like assassins.
Yeah, when you come from the stereotypical life of crime, you ask for your information with a little more violence.
Totally. Here's the weird double standard of like, haha, these stupid white people that are like, don't know, that are like assuming they're criminals and assuming that they don't speak English. And it's like, oh, but they are actually like criminals and they will kill people.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we're not serving any purpose here besides racial stereotyping.
No. I like following them for sure.
Yeah, they're like, I want to watch a show about them.
Mm-hmm.
But I want it to represent them accurately.
Totally. In the context.
Fairly.
Exactly. In the context of the show, it is not that.
No. So they want to know who killed Gabriel. And they tell him that they thought it was Pugursky. Pugursky, right? McGursky. Why did I put Pugursky?
I don't know.
Because they didn't know if he was in Neptune or if he was in Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah. They like try and deflect.
They're like, we don't know where he is. He could have, maybe he did spring break in Puerto Rico, but he might have got canceled and he could be here.
It's the opposite. It's like, he canceled Neptune and he's in Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. And then the one kid who got beat up is like, wait, no, I thought that didn't work out. And he's in Neptune. And all the kids like look at him like, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh.
Yeah. Like they're trying to like not have him get killed.
Got it. So we fin that scene. We go over to Clyde. Clyde and Big Dick and our boys, they're out golfing. And Big Dick sees someone he wants to work with on his nut project, about cleaning up the town. And so he basically bumps Clyde so the other guy can golf with him. How was the other guy on the course if he wasn't already playing?
it. I guess he was just gonna go solo, and it was waiting for the next person.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that can't happen, and like the person at the start will like put you in groups.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So he bumps Clyde. So Clyde has a jail flashback again where we find out that the guys that fucked with Big Dick did it because Clyde bribed them because Clyde worked in the kitchen. So he had the connection to all the top ramen.
Yep. I mean, I like this 4-dimensional chess on Clyde's part. I'm all for it.
So then he saved Big Dick.
Yes.
So then he buys himself some nice bottles of cognac.
Cognac. That's what we get for Herman, cognac.
Why can I not? You know what? It doesn't work. Why is my brain not working?
It's all right. It doesn't come up again, so you're all right.
Okay. Well, thank God they drink regular liquor for the rest of the show.
Yep, no more cognac.
Cognac. It was like I looked at it and I'm like, cognac. Cognac.
Cognac theory.
Please help me, you guys. It's been a long year. And we find out he basically buys fancy alcohol on Big Dick's card.
Yep.
Or his member number.
Yeah.
Then we cut over to our police chief who is interviewing Maddie, the daughter of the man who owned the Sea Sprite. And she will not talk to the police chief because she's like, what good are you going to do me?
Yes.
And then
Chief Langdon. I'm saying that now so it can help me remember as well.
Chief Langdon gets called out of the room by one of her deputies because he's like, hey, the mayor wants to know, like, he wants to call in the FBI because like things aren't happening the way they're supposed to around here. And she's like, tell him to stop interrupting me. I was getting a key witness to crack. And then Maddie sneaks away.
Yep. Already like this girl.
Me too. I love Maddie.
Mm-hmm.
We also get a notification from Logan, we meaning Veronica, that the pizza guy sent a mean tweet about Keith.
Oh, mm-hmm.
That the sheriff department was inept because Keith was bad, and then Lamb was bad, and then Keith was bad, and then Lamb was bad, but the other Lamb.
Yeah. It's very funny in the tweet too. It's just like very pointed criticism about Keith. Very
vague criticism about Lamb.
And then it's over and over. It's like I'm pretty sure you could have found like at least a few things.
Yeah. So then we're at.
You don't mean the police state for the last Lamb? You forget about that one?
Yeah. And then why do we have a police department now?
Right. I'm so confused. Well, I'm not confused. I'm assuming that whatever
we incorporated.
Exactly, but we need this backstory.
Uh-huh.
Maybe we learn later and it plays into Nut's ambitions.
Maybe Nut's got it passed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they mentioned that in the first episode. We just didn't remember.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
I don't remember hearing it.
You do that with your white man confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be questionable over here. So then we're over at Comrade Quack's and they interview our store owner. What's her name?
Nicole Malloy.
I really like Nicole. And they're like, did you punch a kid? And she's like, I did. I punched that rich kid because he was basically trying to inappropriately touch a girl who was passed out drunk. And I'd do it again. Bop, bop. That's basically what that is.
100%.
And Veronica's like, I like her. And we find out that the boy she punched is the congressman's brother. Right?
No.
It's the one.
Congressman's brother, she punched the white broy kid.
Oh, the rich white kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. The broy kid. That's what I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, did not punch. That guy was with his girlfriend.
Yes. You're right. Yeah, that's what I thought was weird. Then we cut over to Logan at home. He's making paella.
Yes, being a...
He's used every pan in the house.
Yeah.
You just need a paella pan, Logan.
He's learning, okay?
He tells Veronica Clyde used to rob banks, and she's like, Logan, I'm annoyed with you because, like, you're all like, I know where you're coming from, and I want to be supportive, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, that's just not the Logan I know. Like, did they put you on meds? Like, is there anything weird going on? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why aren't you reacting? And he's like, well, I am mad. I just, I'm trying not to be violent. Good job, Logan.
Yes.
Proud of you.
Uh-huh.
And Logan's like, I'm angry all the time. Like, I'm trying not to let it destroy me. And then he punches a cabinet because Veronica riles him.
Mhm.
Well, I don't blame her. You know what I mean? She riles him. He punches a cabinet.
Yes.
They're neither, it's problematic. And then Veronica because she told him he felt sanded down. And then they have really angry sex, which is kind of violent and weird. And then afterwards, the next day, Logan's like, is that what you like, me losing control? Maybe you should call my therapist. I'm going to leave her number for you. I'm going to go walk pony for a long time.
Yeah, this scene sucks.
It's awful. Because then she's like, oh yeah, like I loved that. And I'm like, no, it is not sexy to, it's totally fine if you're into like bondage or whatever, but like it's not, violence is not sexy. Like intentional violence, like scary violence, not like this is controlled in a place where then it's like, okay, like there are safe words or whatever.
Right.
But like uncontrolled rage is not sexy.
Mm-mm.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. And like women don't get excited by like, it's not sexy to have him lose control and punch a cabinet, which is what she directly relates him to. It's like, oh, physical violence, hooray.
Then Logan's back.
Exactly. And again, the moving, like we talked last time, moving it completely onto Veronica being the issue. Like Logan's like, I'm in therapy, I'm trying to do good. So she's also an emotionally abusive partner in this sense.
Yeah.
It's not only he's doing things against his will because she's fucking twisting him and causing issues. And then equating physical violence to
passion.
And that's fucking dangerous. That's like, I am sure this is very triggering for women that have been through emotional or like a physical abuse,
or even
domestic abuse situations.
I don't think you have to have been necessarily in like a situation where you've been abused to find it terrifying, because it's the idea that at any given moment any man could lose control.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, I mean, that is a fact of existing as a woman. It's like, oh, they are allowed to learn how to be violent and get violent and hurt people, and your response is either to get violent back or to get out.
Not like, oh fuck yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it's problematic. So we'll move past that. We'll move over to Veronica goes to interview the pizza guy with her father. He is a murder head. So he's part of a group of people who solve cold cases, which is what Patton Oswalt's late wife used to do.
Yeah.
She helped
Meredith Salinger?
Yes, and she helped solve was it the Golden State Killer?
Michelle McNamara. Meredith Salinger is who he's currently
Yes, yeah.
Yes, the Golden State Killer. She wrote the book I'll Be Gone in the Dark, One Woman's Obsessive Search for the Golden State Killer. He helped
finish it, right?
Yeah, worked with the writers that she was already working with to like help like push that along. She had passed away in 2016. Super sad. Like she or maybe did the book come out?
That came out after she passed away.
Yes, it did. It came out in 2018. So but yeah, and it's funny. I mean, they're doing a kind of a wink and a nod to Patton's real life there. And also the true crime craze, especially at the time. Like My Favorite Murder at this point
just picked up. Yeah. Like peaked. You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, like
exactly. It hit that cultural threshold.
So then he's like, yeah, we solved the Long Beach Strangler. Like they kind of like had like a case to have him use as a comparison. And he does like weird things throughout it. He's drinking beer. He's like renting like what it seems like early in the day. Like 11 a.m. I mean, you do you, but like
he's on paid leave, or he's like he's got the day off, or he's on some sort of leave. He seems cushy.
And then he like rents out his house to spring breakers.
That is a fucking amazing place. Like it's a
apartment,
studio, but it's a super fucking nice studio. And then he makes it, he's like, oh, you think I'd live down here? That'd be super depressing. It's just like, oh my God, it's a beautiful place. You people know nothing about renting. And Then he's like, oh yeah, I rent out the top upstairs to Spring Breakers and I clear like $50,000 in a year.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so you're just a pizza guy regularly because you need to hold down a job?
Yeah, or like because you need money when you're not renting out that top floor.
Right. So does the top floor make up for most of the year and then you kind of make the rest of your
Money off being a pizza guy.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I left. I walked out after I dropped off the pizza. I waved at Maddie, and then boom, bomb went off, and shrapnel hit me in the back. He also, as they're leaving, tells Keith like, are they ever gonna solve that Lily Kane murder?
Yeah. Going through the murder heads.
Which doesn't make any
case.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense because it's not a cold case.
Well, Aaron Eccles didn't get.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he didn't do it.
Right. But for an outside people, like, hey, did they solve the case? No, it's still open. We know as the viewers.
True.
But since Aaron Eccles got off free and no one was officially incarcerated for it.
True. Fair.
And then what do they also... Because Veronica's trying to get him to take down the tweet the entire time. Mm-hmm. And then he's just like, well, didn't your dad actually go after the wrong killer in Lily Kane's death? And like, didn't he actually tamper with evidence? And she's like, well, that was more of a me thing.
Yeah. So Keith is like, leave the tweet up. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Then we...
Well, I think you acquiesce and say, take it down.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Well, he says, but then Keith tells him it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Then we cut over. Veronica's at work. Clyde enters. He's like, you were in a Vanity Fair article. And she's like, Clyde, just tell me what you want to know.
No small talk.
And he's like, I lost touch with a woman I knew before I went to prison. And I haven't been able to locate her since I've left. And she's like, you're asking me to find someone for you who doesn't want to be found by you. So no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Very good point here. It's just like, yeah, this person cut you out of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to take your money.
Yeah. And he's like, I appreciate your directness. And she's like, most people don't. So we get a nice little Veronica Clyde moment.
Yeah. Interesting to see where that is going. I have no idea. I don't remember that at all.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember any of this really, except for the end.
Oh, gotcha.
So then we cut over to our senator who hired Veronica and Keith. Keith is with him and his brother at the morgue because they wanted to go see the body. Yeah,
Congressman Daniel Maloof and younger brother Alex.
Alex is viewing the body of his now deceased fiance. And then a fight breaks out because Tawny Carr, I believe, her family's mad that the ring that Alex gave her wasn't in her stuff because they wanted to sell it.
Yeah.
So they're set up as like white trash.
Uh-huh.
And then obviously there's a fight amongst the families because no one actually knows where the ring went.
No.
Or where it is.
Mm-hmm. Curious indeed.
And so they all fight. The police show up. She kicks everyone out, including Keith, because she doesn't like Keith. Probably because he does her job better than her.
Yes. Yeah, it makes a reference of doesn't like private eyes.
Mm-hmm. And then we get Keith calling Veronica, telling her what happened. Veronica's like, well, I'm going to go track Maddie. I'm going to go talk to her. She puts a tracker on Maddie's car.
Before we go into the Maddie stuff, the Carr family is just the most like grotesquely like white trash. I mean, you get the big guy and they're like all like one of them's wearing like cut off sleeves and denim, like literally cut off. So it looks like, you did it with scissors.
There's a reason why like people from where I grew up in the Valley really don't appreciate elitist humor because it attacks them and it attacks their culture and their family and it paints them as these like jokes. Yeah, and like it's the least egregious of like all caricatures because it's like they're white people and they're fine. But it is still like it was always interesting to me. I didn't really notice there was a bias around it until I went to college. And by no stretch of the imagination was I discriminated against. But like people would be like, oh, you're from the Valley. And then like they'd be like, ha, you say those words funny. Like you have a twang, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why the fuck do you care?
Totally. It's
like this white, they're like, oh, like, well, did you grow up on a farm or like, did you grow up at a trailer park? And he's like, no, I grew up in a fucking house on a suburban street in the middle of a town.
Yeah. Like in California, it's the Central Valley is a microcosm of this, but it's the way we think of the South.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's just like nothing but dilapidated homes, trailer parks, and a bunch of good old boys and like
Their guns and their wraparound porches and their farms.
Totally. It's an easy way to dehumanize people and make fun of them. And not actually like think about that these are actually people living lives.
Well, and the people who own farms and dairies are fucking wealthy.
See,
Usually.
yeah, there's another thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, the people who are usually, at least currently, like living in poverty in those areas are usually people who are low income earners in the sense that they are the people out there picking the fields and actually gathering your food.
Totally. But when we associate those accents in this show, it's like, oh, it's like fucking white trash, like trying to make any buck they can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. White trash.
Yeah. It is interesting. So then we go over to Maddie. Veronica puts a tracker on Maddie's car. Maddie sees her from the window. So then Maddie's family is it's just a fucking nightmare. It's like Maddie's mom is the stepmom to 2 other kids. That's how I took that.
Yes. Yes. Renee.
Mm-hmm. Renee. And the other kids are awful.
Yeah, absolutely fucking awful.
They're like mean to Renee.
Mm-hmm.
They're just mean.
They
in
call
general.
her that. They call her Renee, and like fucking like as like derogatory because the little boy goes, "You're not like Dad says something, but you're just Renee."
Mm-hmm. So Maddie sneaks out while like all the hubbub is happening with the family, but we find out that the little brother's scooter and helmet went missing as well. So Veronica has to track Maddie.
Mm-hmm.
Veronica tracks her to a beach party.
Oh, yeah. Maddie loses her though. The whole fucking scooter and helmet shit distraction.
Yeah. Well, but so yeah, Veronica then ends up like finding her, tracking her because the car starts moving and she sees the car. And then she tracks her. She gets there. Maddie then takes the scooter and the helmet out of the car. Veronica parks next to Maddie's car and then has to track Maddie as she sneaks through like a beach party. And then we figure out that Maddie went to the Sea Sprite. Veronica gets there. She sees a scooter outside one of the rooms.
Veronica's like, oh, where would I go?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, the Sea Sprite.
She walks through all the rooms. She tries to find Maddie. Then she exits. She sees that the scooter was gone. It's just a whole fucking like game of cat and mouse.
Exactly. And eventually outsmarts her because she goes through all the rooms that were connected. Mm-hmm. She goes through one side, unlocks all the doors. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's smart.
Yeah.
She wily.
So then we also find in like the room that it looks like Maddie was staying in herself. We find the book that has all the business cards of local businesses in it. The business card for a location is missing, and it is Alpha Jolly Amusement Park, which is a front for the Fitzpatricks.
Mm-hmm.
And we figured that out very quickly because Veronica goes, "Oh no, like she shouldn't have gone there." And we immediately know when Veronica knows that a location is a front, that who is behind the front? The Fighting Fitzpatricks.
Totally. And Liam looks the exact goddamn same.
So Maddie goes to Alpha Jolly Amusement because that's where they get the stock for their vending machine from. And she's
interesting, don't you think?
Exactly. She's like, I need to talk to whoever's in charge because whoever stocked the machine like put gum in there and we don't usually get gum. And he's like, well, like your dad died. Like, is that really what you care about? And she's like, yeah, like I want to know who did it because it was done wrong and it's mine and it's my business or whatever. And so Liam threatens to beat her up, you know, like he's just fucking trash. So he's just rude to her. She ends up leaving. While she's leaving, she sees a can of spray paint. And she's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spray paint all of these vending machines with spray paint. She's doing that. She gets to the end of the row. There's a door. The door opens. It's got some more Fitzpatrick bros coming out or family members. And she sees the one who was the one stocking their vending machine. Yeah.
Man with the mole.
The man with the mole. She sees him. She runs away because they're after her because of the spray paint. Veronica picks her up because Veronica finally tracked her to where she was. She gets Maddie in the car, and then when Liam's threatening to like break the window to like attack Maddie,
because they all surround the car.
Veronica pulls out her gun because it's Veronica, and then they let Veronica.
She's upgraded from a taser.
Mm-hmm. They let Veronica and Maddie drive away, and Liam goes, "I hate that girl," and one of the guys goes, "Which one?"
Yep. Yeah, pretty great. trial by fire with Maddie pissing people off that are like way above her weight class in terms of danger.
But she had no idea.
Totally. And Liam Fitzpatrick, always a reliable fucking evil person.
Always a joy. Always a treasure.
But it's cool that to see she's already like making connections without like, she's just like smart. She's like looking into this shit on her own.
Yeah, she just wants to know who did it. So she's going to figure it out.
Exactly.
I respect that.
Yeah, and we get a fun mirror of Veronica, like obviously coming in, and and then we get a weird comparison later. But going to start shit.
So then Veronica's like, Maddie, why were you there? That's dangerous. And like Maddie's like, it doesn't matter. And she's like, tell me your theory, Maddie. Or like, have you told the police your theory? And she's like, why would I? The police aren't going to do anything. And she's like, well, why don't you tell me? And Maddie won't tell her. And so then Maddie does tell Veronica that Alex Maloof was in her dad's face. And if he hadn't been there, like asking for his rich kid refund, she would have been with her dad in his hotel room eating pizza and he wouldn't have died in the bombing. She then gets out of the car, goes back to her car, and we get Veronica's voiceover of her like bonding with Maddie and like she's hoping to save her from setting and hardening like Veronica hardened.
Oh, it's fucking brutal. I hate that.
Because she's like, and then once you harden, your life is a long string of apologies. So then she apologizes to these people she honks at for sitting on her car. And she's like, that's my fault. And I was like, no, they're sitting on your car.
When does she ever fucking apologize?
Then she calls Logan. She's going to do it all right now.
Right. But it makes no sense. Like the comparison doesn't make sense. And I hate the fucking like, oh, my life's so horrible. But her life's fucking like tremendous. And it's not, we don't really get otherwise that she's having this like terrible time. It's just she doesn't want to move forward. It's just she doesn't want to like, she's scared of growing. And I guess she thinks that being a private detective has something to do with it. Not that she has like all this fucking trauma from like her personal life that has nothing to do with that. It's just a weird thing to throw in there. It's like, oh, I gotta save this girl from herself. Don't be like me.
So then Veronica calls Logan to apologize. He's at the Neptune Grand, which is upgraded in the last couple years.
It looks very lovely.
With Dick playing video games.
Yes, hilarious that Dick still lives at the Neptune Grand.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. She's like, you know what? No, I will never find an apartment.
He took over the suite that Logan left. Well, no, Dick has a house in the movie.
But is that him and...
Logan is staying with him.
Oh, I was wondering if maybe that was like his dad's house. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, you could be right. But what happened to the house, Dick?
You know, who could say?
Yeah.
So, Veronica's like, hey, now that we've apologized and we're all lovey-dovey again, like, can you go pick up the check from the Maloofs while you're at the Neptune Grand because that's where they're staying? Logan's like, sure. He goes down there to pick it up.
We're just playing Far Cry together. This is one of those stupid things that I don't think Far Cry games have co-op. And it's one of those things when it's really annoying to be nitpicky like this, but I'm going to be nitpicky. It's like, oh, it's two people playing with their controllers, but there's only one thing on screen. It's like where it doesn't match up.
So the older brother, so we go down to the Maloofs room. Logan's like, I'm here to pick up the check. We've got Alex. What's the older brother? Sorry.
Daniel, the congressman is Daniel. Yeah.
So Daniel's like, Alex, like, you have to stop, like, just being a prick about everything. Like, you're mourning and you're sad and that's fine. But like, don't be an asshole to people because he's just being rude to the servers. He's being rude to everyone. He told the server he wanted his fingers back when they asked him if he wanted anything else from room service. Logan's like, hey, I just need the check. And Daniel's like, hey, would you mind checking in the bedroom? Like, for my checkbook, I can't find it. And so Logan's looking, they're all looking, and then these big guys show up, these big white guys.
It's the cars from earlier.
Are they the same ones? I
Yes.
thought they were different people that they'd hired.
No, it's the same. It's the same two guys. It's just the mom or the woman didn't come.
Got it. So they want Tawny's ring for the family. They start fighting. Logan has to fight both of them basically because it's Logan. And the Maloof brothers were not trained in any sort of self-defense.
No, Logan, we don't know what he's been through. We know he's already been through a ton of fights as a civilian. And now
his military training.
Exactly, even more. Like, he could be snapping necks. We don't know.
So
he could be like Agent 47 with hair?
We don't know. And honestly, like, it's a nice scene, but I hate, like, they break someone's elbow and you can see the blood and, like, things like that. And it just, it really stressed me out. And I know it's fake, but it really stresses me out. So.
Yes. Can attest.
They fight. Logan wins, whatever. Then Keith shows up at Veronica's house. She's like, Dad, what if I was having sex? And he's like, you're not married. And I'm like, ha.
Very good. Very good joke.
The pizza guy was on TV. So they sit down on the couch with Pony to watch it.
We get a nice, lovely view of the interface of Hulu first before they transition to their DVR.
Love it. I just remember being like, Pony's so cute.
Pony is very cute. But it's just funny. It's just like, here's Hulu. Here's what you could be having. It's like, I'm watching this on Hulu.
Like, I know what I have. On TV, they see the pizza guy telling a bunch of big lies about who did it and why, because he's like, oh, I delivered the pizza. I was there. Therefore, I know exactly what happened.
Right. Makes a bunch of conjectures that the Maloofs did it, that Daniel Maloof bombed it.
Mm-hmm. So he blames the progressive congressman.
Exactly.
Always blame the non-white men. That's what I do if it's a person of color.
Totally.
That's what that is.
Yep. We are jumping to racist conclusions very fast.
The whole episode, really.
Yes. The whole series.
Yeah. I mean, really, being white in America, it's kind of just that.
Totally. There's a reason that there was multiple episodes where, like, did Weevil do it? Weevil, did you do it?
Oh, but he put the baby helped him steal the cash box?
Right. Or he didn't do it, but, like, now he's going to.
Yeah, what's he doing with that card machine? What do you think? You think he's still
what
got
did
it?
he do with it for 13 years?
He's going to make cards to make dinners?
Yeah, probably. Make dinners.
Make dinners. Buy dinners.
But I do like the name of the tabloidy news station is Drew Process, or the show.
Love it. So Keith is like, tomorrow will be a big day. We then cut over really quickly to our dynamic duo who are out here just being hitmen. They already killed the boy.
Migursky. Or Pugurski.
Whatever. Piznarski?
Not Piznarski. That man is... You leave him alone.
You keep your paws off Piz, all right?
Do you think there's in this universe that Piz is sometimes a guest on Wait, Don't Tell Me?
I hope so.
I mean, he's pretty witty, so, like, you get him on there. He's chuckling it up with Paula Poundstone.
God, I love Paula Poundstone. But so then Keith is like, oh, tomorrow will be a big day. The other two are like, oh God, now we have to go after this congressman because, like, the boss is gonna want us to kill whoever did it. So
you gotta kill who you gotta kill. It's in the job description.
And at the same time, Logan comes home from getting the check. He's like, don't worry, I got it. But he's covered in blood. Veronica and Keith are like, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, yeah. And the Maloofs hired me as their private security. And they're like, ooh, this will be very helpful because we are suspicious of them. Why? Like, we don't think they did it on purpose. Like, why would they hire us to investigate if they set the bomb?
Mm-hmm.
But something is fishy in Neptune.
Hey, surprise, surprise.
I know.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good turn for Logan to literally be the private security guard.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I mean, other than, like, the scene of, like, oh, hey, here's him using his violence for good.
We love that. No, we don't love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
Mm-hmm. I also I forgot to bring it up earlier. I did not, it is really annoying to me talking about, like, oh, like, you say you want Bruce Banner, but you just want the green guy. It's just like, you can't do that when there's too many Marvel movies going on, and we hear that in all those Marvel movies.
Yeah.
You can't steal it. You're literally copying.
Yeah. And I love the Hulk, but, like, I'd prefer Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, of course.
He just seems like more fun to hang out with.
Yes, agreed. Seems like a fun dude.
But yeah, so there we have it. Season 4, episode 2.
When you said season 4, it sounded like, okay, we wrapped it up.
The end.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts?
Nope. Yeah, it was fine.
It was all right.
Kind of an off week.
Uh-huh.
Really... Get some setup and some bad humor, and yeah. I am intrigued by the mystery going forward for sure, but We just had a lot more of the bad stuff going on in Veronica Mars than a lot of the good stuff.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, better things will come.
Yes.
Well, if you want to hear more of us, we also have another podcast. It's called But Really Though. The though is spelled THO because that's how I spelled it. The end. No explanation needed. I always give one, but it's not needed. It is a podcast
And you're going to like it.
where we research different subjects and we share them with each other and we educate one another. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're serious. Usually they're somewhere in the middle. Last week I talked about the cassette recorder.
Mm-hmm.
Just, to really set the scene of like how random this could be. We've talked about libertarian bears. We've talked about, some races that didn't go as planned, getting lost on your way to vacation.
There you go.
Language barriers. We've covered it all. You can find that podcast wherever you find this podcast. Or you can follow it on Twitter at But Really Though Pod. You can also follow this podcast on Twitter and Facebook at Mars Rewatch. And I'm a life and career coach. I help people get their shit together. It's a lot of fun. And you can schedule a free discovery call if we've never chatted before on my website, butreallythough.com. Or if we have chatted before and you want to book a session, you can book your session there as well.
You already said my plugs. I guess you can find me on... no, that's okay.
Store your plugs.
You can find me on Twitter at PyleBrenton. That's PyleBrenton. No, I just had to think through my non-boilerplate because I'm like, oh, wait. You can also find us doing a Let's Play of Outer Wilds over on my YouTube channel, Burger Discourse.
All right. Stay toasted marshmallows and make some s'mores.
Yeah, make a little s'more.
S'mores sound good.